Hello everybody and welcome to RPG Horror Stories. As at the time of recording, it's my birthday. So I wanted to do something special for the channel. I mean, like, I can't go, breaking my own rule and reading the Henderson tale before the subscriber counts is up there. But I just wanted to do something for my own birthday, something special on the channel. So I actually went back through all of Crit Crab's videos. Because Crit Crab was the first thing that I ever had been exposed to that was involving Reddit. Crit Crab was the reason that I downloaded Reddit, and one of the first subs that I ever joined was RPG Horror Stories. And I actually went through his catalog because I wanted to grab the first story I ever heard from Crit Crab. And now I have it right here. You might know this as the Player Who Won thumbnail on Crit Crab's channel from like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. That's probably what I'm probably gonna thumbnail it almost the same. The Player Who Won, because goddammit, this is a badass story. Let's begin. The very last time I ever played in a D&D campaign. I thought this might be more appropriate here. I was going to post it in the r/D&D story subreddit, but then it occurred to me that it is more horrific than ordinary gameplay ought, so I decided to put it here. Before I get on to the story, a little background. It was an AD&D campaign, what everyone refers to as First Edition these days. This campaign took place back in the early 80s, and all of us were in junior high school together. To put some perspective on what we were like for those who can't imagine what it was like to back in the age before cell phones, allow me to explain. In school, we played a game called Flinch, where you would make a sudden, unexpected, aggressive move towards someone, anyone. It didn't even have to be one of your friends or even somebody you knew, but usually played against acquaintances. If they flinched or made a defensive move, you got to thump them. They would have to stand still, and you got to hammer them right in the sternum with stiff fingers as hard as you cared to. If they didn't flinch, however, they got to do it to you instead. It was a fun game, and we were the nerds. In our gaming group, we continued this general attitude of weeding out the weaklings. If you were creating a character and said, "Hey, can you please blast the that's as far as you got, because the player's handbook was already in the air coming straight for your head. If you got hit, then you got laughed at. We did lots of things like that. We were a very unforgiving group. On the plus side, things like these kept everyone very focused. We never had to wait around for people to make up their mind about what their PC was doing, since everyone was always formulating their plan of action while the DM did his thing with everyone else. Now, with everyone having their own agenda and whatnot, we devised a system of passing notes to the Game Master for performing actions which we were keeping secret from the rest of the players. Mostly, this was mundane things like robbing random houses in town at the middle of the night, picking the pocket of an NPC, popping off to the outfitter to stock up on arrows, or off to the temple to load up on healing potions. So, notes were being passed around constantly, and we kept our private affairs private. Unless your note was awry and someone else saw it. We didn't roll dice to see if other players noticed your behavior. It was simple. Bob the Barbarian wanders off. Cedric the Cleric, you're shagging the barmaid? Great. Roll a save versus Poisoner, get the clap. And so on. Gotta love that. I think you can see how I like this story. Some of my group did act like this as well, so... Another thing that we did, which will become important later, was that if your character died, the rest of us looted the body, and then we burned your character sheet. Temples didn't raise the dead for a modest fee. If the party didn't have resurrection or raised dead, your body would rot where it dropped. That's just how we rolled. In this campaign, we had one new player, the Dungeon Master's cousin, and the rest of us were regulars. Altogether, there were 6 of us in our party, playing our tried and true characters. Mine was the now infamous Rogan the Red, a human fighter assassin, although nobody knew he was an assassin. Or that's how I like to play it anyways. I always thought it was silly that assassins ran around looking like assassins. That kind of defeated the purpose of being stealthy and whatnot. And given the way the game mechanics worked, I found that trying to murder people with 1d4 damage was ludicrous, so I tended to use a bastard sword. It was easier. For this gaming session, we were starting that most legendary of modules, the one that everybody playing group ran once they got high enough in level. The expedition to the barrier peaks. Everybody liked the idea of having grenades, power armor, and blaster pistols. I mean, why not, right? The backdrop was the default intro. King Genericus, or whatever his name was, calls out for brave mercenaries, adventurers, to find out where all the weird monsters are coming from that are eating his taxpayer base. We were the motley crew which showed up. That explained why most of us didn't know each other. So, it begins. If you haven't figured it out already, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks was the OG Spelljammer. It's great. The Dungeon Master decided that this module was for a much larger group, so he let everyone else make a second character rather than have him run a bunch of red shirts. I say everyone else because he had something against my character in general, and me in particular, I came to discover. Plus, I was a 5th level fighter and 10th level assassin, so he figured I didn't need another character since I was already level 15. Everyone else was good TM. Lawful good, unless constrained or contradicted by class restrictions. Like the druid or thief. Rogue wasn't a thing yet, but since I was an assassin, I was neutral evil. I played the character as pretty much pure neutral aside from the whole murder for hire thing, but I never saw that as any different from what player characters did all the time anyways. I digress. The very first thing out of the Dungeon Master's mouth when we all sat down was to tell his cousin's paladin, "He's evil," while pointing at me. Needless to say, I was a bit put out by this. I'm not one for rules lawyering, but we'd all pretty much understood that things like the Paladin's Detect Evil ability were conscious effects, meaning you had to specifically tell the Dungeon Master you were using it for it to work. It really only worked when the target actually had evil intent. Since the new precedent was that he detected my PC's general evilness, I realized very quickly that this would completely overshadow specific instances of evil intent in the future. This was where he screwed the pooch. If he hadn't done this, then the ending would have been completely different, and he had no one to blame but himself. Immediately, this put everyone else who had 2 characters at level 10 against me for no other reason than my alignment. Never mind the fact that I'd played with the rest of them for a couple years and we got along fine. They knew which side their bread was buttered on, though. And since the DM and his cousin had their eye on me, it would serve the rest of them right to keep an eye on my PC as well. To his credit, however, the Dungeon Master neglected to actually inform anyone that my primary class was Assassin. I was, after all, a hulking brute, with an 18 or 83 average strength, wearing plate mail and carrying a sword of sharpness, so my ability to do assassin things was entirely outside their notice. Right from the start, they had me on point, but that didn't bother me much. We got to the crashed spaceship, got inside the top level, and started to explore. There were a few fights where they made me tank, and didn't bother helping me with healing. They saved their spells and made me use up one of my healing potions. We were poisoned by gas at one point, during which I discovered that one of the other players' throwaway characters had a +1 parry out of proof against poisons. I didn't steal it right away, but I made a note of that for later. Shortly thereafter, we found one of the keycards that allowed us access to the elevator. The Dungeon Master wasn't at all clear about describing things, so when he had everyone open a door with a keycard and all pile in, I was just happy I wasn't on point anymore. Then the doors close and the rest of the party is hell and gone, leaving me all alone with no way to rejoin them. During the course of the next hour or so, the rest of the party explores several rooms while I'm left to my own devices. I got into fights with 3 random encounters while the party didn't. I survived. Go me. During my exploration, I found a gray keycard, however, so I'm happy that I can rejoin the party. But I don't. Instead, I try and loot other rooms where I'm at, and that's when the DM makes his fatal mistake. While I was rummaging through what I presumed to be an alchemist's lab, I discover a wonderful powder which grants infravision, a few mild poisons, some jars of strong acid, and then the mother of all poisons. It's very important to point out at this juncture that the stats of the poisons I found were munchkinny attempts to permanently take me out. The DM ruled that the sweet-smelling green powder which I subsequently tasted was a very powerful nerve agent. He informed me that because I tasted it, I had to make a save versus poison at -10. I rolled a 20. It was very gleeful. Then he rolls again and informs me I have 3 HP left. You heard that correctly. This poison is so toxic that if you make your save, you only have 1d4 health left. Surely you guys can see where this is going, right? If you haven't heard this, I'm not gonna tell you, but it's fucking great. This is the one and only time that I have ever heard a story and been able to say, that guy won D&D. Well, I should say this guy, because he's not a that guy. This guy won D&D. So, I'm pretty pissed off at this point. But I have a ton of this poison, so I put it away for a rainy day. Drink the last of my healing pots, and try and survive until the end of this module. I really wasn't paying attention after this point. Pleading self-preservation due to low HP, which nobody heals, thanks guys. I offer fire support with my bow and avoid melee the rest of the game. We played every day after school for a week to finish this beast of a module. There was, and still is, a lot to it. The paladin got his power armor, the other fighter got his blaster rifle and grenades, and they tried to give me the shaft. And on the way home, I picked one fellow's pocket of one item, which I replaced with a nearly identical appearing item. Because I swap a gemstone for a valuable gemstone, the DM doesn't put up too much of a fuss when I pilfered the cleric's periapt. And at the very end, we were at an inn licking our wounds and splitting up the treasure. This is where the Dungeon Master got too clever for his own good. Being a somewhat realistic-minded bunch, it was standard practice not to wear armor or carry heavy weapons in towns. The Dungeon Master made a point to bring this to everyone's awareness. For the after-party, nobody was armed with anything more dangerous than a dagger, and nobody had any armor. Except maybe the mages with their magical braces and wizard robes, but that doesn't really count. I asked quickly if there's time for me to buy wine for the party. I had to spend 500 GP on a cask of wine, enough for all of us. More punishment for being evil, TM, I suppose. I then hand the wine over to the innkeeper's wife and pay her extra not to drink it. She pours it into jugs and serves it to the party. Yes, I did that. So we all write quick notes about what we're bringing to the party. I pass a note to the Dungeon Master about checking the other players, but there are no surprises. Nobody brings any serious weapons since there are weapons in the loot on the table anyways. And the last thing anybody is expecting is a fight. I write my note and pass it to him. And I made a note on the back, which I will point out later. I had 3 daggers, all magical, my +2 ring of protection, and my newly pilfered periapt. The DM's cousin's other character, the same cleric I lifted the periapt off of, arrives late with a bag of holding and adds its contents to the pile of treasures we will all be picking from. I immediately recognize my sword of sharpness, my +3 plate mail, my bow and magic arrows, and all my other valuables, which I had left up in my room. The Dungeon Master reasoned that since I steal from the other players, that it's only fair that they get to go through my stuff and take what they want. Since I'm outnumbered and outgunned by a dozen level 15 plus wizards, clerics, rangers, bards, and druids, I really don't have much choice in the matter. You see what's coming? It's gonna be great. You're gonna fucking love it. It's amusing. It's beautiful. Just wait. It's awesome. Me being me, and make an attempt to point out the unfairness, but the DM overrules me. Not expected. Not unexpected, I suppose, at this point. He pushes on with the party, and they drink the wine I bought while they split up all my money and things between themselves and have a good laugh. So they toast on it, and we all drink. A few of the players were a little leery since it was my wine, but when they see me drink, they all drink as well. I was counting on that. That is, after all, the purpose of a toast, to slosh the wine between all the cups so everyone drinks the same thing. And I stop everyone at that point and announce to the entire group, everyone make a save against poison at -10. There was a moment of intense consternation. Then, the Dungeon Master reads the back of the note I gave him earlier and realizes what the fuck I just did to everyone. Or rather, what he did to everyone. With that nerve toxin in the wine, everyone needs a very high saving throw just to survive with 1d4 HP. The Paladin died, his Cleric died, the Ranger died, the Druid died, the Bard died. I hate Bards, so yes, everyone died. The only ones who made their roll were the Thief and one of the Wizards. Everyone else died instantly. Then it was my turn to roll a save. The DM looked pretty smug since he was sure I couldn't get another natural 20. But I didn't need to. I had the parry apt, so I only needed to make a regular save with no negative modifier. I think I rolled an 11 or something stupid, passed easily. He gave me 1 HP left just to be a dick, I suppose. Before anyone else realizes that they needed to do anything, I threw a poison dagger at the wizard and jumped the thief. Wizard died. Thief died. And that was that. Turns out, it's actually really easy to kill people with a dagger when they only have 4 HP. I think my strength bonus damage was higher than their hit points. They never stood a chance. I wish at the time I knew the phrase, hoist on his own petard, because it would have been fitting. He never expected me to do anything like that with something he made up just to get to me. I wasn't just a good assassin, I was a great assassin. He never gave me my experience points for killing all those high-level monsters either. But I did get to burn their character sheets. That point was non-negotiable. They didn't like it, but that was how we rolled. Do you see why I fucking love this story? This story just... This DM had karma coming for them. They made up 1,000,001 reasons to kill this player. 1,000,001 reasons why this player should not survive. And yet they did. They persevered every single time. There wasn't a single opportunity to survive that this player had missed for the character. And because their group had this weird rule of burning character sheets, well, they burned for their sins. They flew too close to the sun. They can have their loot. But the city, the campaign, their character sheets, they will burn to the ground. Much love to Stay Sexy. I hope to see you guys later. I'm going to be doing a birthday stream later. I'm not sure what I'm going to play. I kind of forgot that my birthday was coming up, and I completely forgot to schedule birthday stream. So much love, Stay Sexy. I don't know. Maybe I'll play Minecraft. But hope to see you guys there. Bye bye.